it really is a key fixture of how they outclass the right with propaganda. They turn everything into a moral crusade while we're quibbling around the margins about silliness. The use of euphemism and that type of language is like their propaganda specialty. This is like, I would say that's actually one of the most interesting things about what George Soros does well. I've read firsthand some of his books, some of the things.
Oh, he's smart, which is very unfortunate.
Some of the things he's authored, and he's very, very clever about it. He will use language to turn everything into an imperative moral crusade. Even like I was reading his book In Defense of Open Society, and he's got this big chapter on drug policy and how we need to legalize drugs, and then but then he said that he realized that legalizing drugs was too unpopular, so he needed to find a way to sort of launder the idea but not make it but not call it drug legalization. And so he got really into the quote unquote harm reduction policies. And so this is a man who's figured out how to even call enabling drug addiction, overdose, and death, how to turn that into a moral crusade that you've got to do it if you're a humanitarian.
Well, one of the things you realize about politics that is, I guess, brilliant is like a lot of, and I've even noticed this with myself, like a lot of what we react to isn't necessarily the argument being presented, it's what we perceive as their implication of the argument. So like, if you are someone who's against drug use, but, wants to reduce harm, like, well, that's going to appeal to you. You're going to go, well, it's not the drug use part I'm on board with, but this one subset. Or if, someone is very fiscally conservative but pro-family, you might be able to say, well, and I get you're not good on big government, but here's one pro-family program that, you might be more susceptible to just as it's presented in a pro-family values way.
That's right.
Just two examples that come to mind, but he's very good at that. And they've weaponized language where one of the things they do a lot with the LGBT movement is that to disagree with them is almost like deleting them from existence. Where if you say, well, I don't think a man can become a woman, then it's you erased someone. And I'm like, well, first of all, thank God I don't have that kind of power because I would use it quite liberally. But it's just they never. It's just that's one recent issue where it's very obvious we're not dealing in reality because they can't even phrase our counter arguments correctly. It's just it has to be rephrased as you're the bad guy and want people to die.
Yes, and it really is a key fixture of how they outclass the right with propaganda. They turn everything into a moral crusade while we're quibbling around the margins about silliness. It's also funny what you said about the protest signs coming from this sort of like central source.
The same dude. I don't know who this guy is, but he's one guy
making a killing on the Soros protest signs. But I remember during the anti-Kavanaugh onslaught after President Trump had nominated him, and you got all these coordinated protesters showing up to the Senate, and President Trump saw through it exactly, and he tweeted something like, the professional elevator screamers are being paid by Soros and others. These are not signs made in the basement with love.
It's a very Trump quote.